What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Juice, man. We got a special guest today.
In studio
I'm
guest.
so excited.
Special guest.
All the way over here to Brookland. I mean,
I thought you'd be on the road today from...
no, I drove yesterday after the Toyota Owners Tournament.
Yeah, how was that?
It was a fun week. It's always a fun week.
Looked like a big bag of brown ones got weighed in that deal.
It was. It's always astonishing to me. That's the 12th year doing that. It's a lot of Toyotas in the parking lot, dude.
Is it?
But that to me is a cool event because that's the one where like and I've actually fished that event before myself back in the day. You know, I've been around the block, right?
Pre-pro?
Pre-pro life, right? That event is where we get to kind of love on our Toyota owners. Like, they get to feel like pros. They come through, get swag bags. They get to hang out with a lot of the Toyota pros. Like, I remember being the guy walking through and talking to Van Dam and Swindle and all them guys and getting, you know, free Toyota gear and stuff. That's pretty cool. So that's fun. With the season I had, it's kind of fun to finish up with something like that. It's a lot of goodness going on.
How many years have you been going to that?
I actually started promoting the Bonus Bucks program when it started in 2009. So I think...
Showing your age.
I know. I've missed a couple of events through the years, usually because I was either guiding or fishing something somewhere else. So this was the 12th one. I would say I've probably been to 8 or 9 of them, something like that. But they were one of my first big sponsor breaks. Was I went and bought a Tundra, and back then, you know, the program was just starting. You have to be the highest finisher in a tournament to win the money, right? Mm-hmm. And like in the BFLs and stuff like that back then that I was fishing, there wasn't a whole lot of people fishing. So like I got some of the checks, you know, I had to eke out a few little checks, and I reached out to them. That's when I was teaching school, and I sent a little email, hey, I'd love to promote this little program, and for whatever reason, they gave me a shot. So
sick.
Man.
That literally changed everything for me.
Yeah, and now you do Yamaha and all that with him as well through the same...
Yeah, it's all through Dynamic Sponsorships. They're a group that you know, Toyota's hired to do all their outdoor stuff, and I do a lot with them with Yamaha. They have a similar program. I think you've won a little Yamaha Power Pay this year.
I have a time or two.
As well. So it's pretty cool to see those companies, like, because it pays through not just the pros, right? We always think all the pros get all the money, but it pays down to all your lower level tournaments and some team stuff and all that.
Yeah,
So
no, it's a great program.
if you're going to have the equipment, why not make the extra money?
Yeah. It was really good before everybody else figured out about it.
Yes.
Now it's a little harder. Now you got to finish in the top 10, right?
Yes. Yes.
Well, appreciate you coming.
Yeah.
We've been talking about this for a little while. A lot of changes going on.
It's crazy out there right now for sure.
We've had you on before. You kind of told your story. You got a cool story. Some things have changed for you.
Yeah.
Kind of wanted to...
That's a good way to say it. Some things have changed.
No, I just, you know, Wyatt and I have this conversation all the time, you know, about becoming pro, you know, fishing at the highest level. And and you're somebody that's done it. You've fished in the FLW/MLF.
Yeah.
You fished the Elites for the last 3 years.
Been around.
No, he fished the tour.
The tour.
It was a pro circuit.
It was...
when I fished, and for half a year it was the FLW pro circuit before all the
Was the cup still there?
no, that's when they called it wasn't the title, what they call it? There was something.
Oh, they had a championship. Yeah,
there was a championship because
I call that?
I was so excited to
It was still like more legit now than what it is today.
It was the FLW pro circuit, and then halfway through the year the guy that owns that White Rod company over in Alabama bought it. And they said, hey, here's an idea.
Right there.
Here's an idea for all you dudes. We're going to...
Floyd's his name?
Floyd Muckett.
Floyd Muckett.
They bought it or whatever, and halfway through our season, that was during COVID season, right?
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Halfway through our season, they're like, we got an idea for all you guys. You know, you may have sit through a meeting like this or two where he leans back in the chair. He says, we're going to let all the BPT pros come jackpot with y'all the rest of the year.
About that.
So then we got to go to Chickamauga, fish 200 boats at Chickamauga, 200 boats Mississippi River, and 200 boats out of Lake Erie. It's 3 tournaments. And I ended up being the first guy out of the championship.
Oh, wow.
Missed it by 1 spot.
1 BPT
Should have caught him better. So, yeah, I done that, and then obviously that same year I qualified for the Elites.
Oh, you did that the same year? So you're fishing the Opens.
I did one division, the Opens.
1 division. So 4 at that
It was 4 tournaments at that time.
They change it all the time, just like
they do. Yeah, for years.
And that wasn't even that long. We're not talking long ago at all.
That was in 2020.
Yeah.
I started fishing the Opens in 2010, so I did them for many years, and it was 3 tournaments for most years. And then they went to 4 that year. So, yeah, during the COVID year, I done the pro circuit, done the Opens, qualified like in November, like made it by the skin of my teeth and got in the Elites. Did the Elites for 3 years.
Was that the year you won on Toledo?
No, that was the year prior.
Okay.
I won the Toledo tournament.
So
in
you didn't
2019.
qualify the year that you won on Toledo?
Nope, I finished 10th in points that year.
And
Close.
this was before they were taking an overall.
Yeah, that's when it was
Divisions.
divisions. It was divisions.
And it was like the top 3 or 4 per
Right.
division?
Yeah, and then 2020 they started doing all of them. Was
The
an option.
overall,
The
but they were
overall
only
option.
taking 3.
Yeah, but they also went from divisions too.
Yeah. 3 from
did.
each division and 3 from
They
overall.
did 4 from each division
Yeah.
and 4 overall, I think, or 3 overall. I forget their math, but they did because I
That's a
ended
lot.
up being the 4th one in my division, or
It's not a
whatever,
lot.
however it was.
Well, if you had 3 divisions, 4, 4, and 4. 4 times 4 is
It was
16.
2 divisions,
It's 2 remember,
Oh, it was
the
only
year
2
they did-
divisions.
The year they did
Okay,
4
I
was
was
on
under the
2
impression it was-
divisions.
and it was 2 divisions, 8
That's right.
tournaments.
That's right.
So yeah, there's been some inconsistency there. I think, like we talked a little off air about the EQs. I think that's a good thing. That maybe that part of it's a good thing. I understand there's all kinds of people on every side of the fence of what's right and wrong, but they need some consistency in how you qualify.
Sure, if they keep it that way.
Yeah, like I was telling a story for
Yeah,
years.
that's a good-
I fished three tournaments in my division, right?
Yeah.
Well, the year I qualified, there was 4, but after 3 events, I was in 2nd.
That's
So I was
okay.
like, dude, if I go to this last one, and
Yeah, and you don't make it.
oh, I'm gonna be so mad.
Oh,
That's
dude.
what
yeah.
would have. Yeah.
Because my job would have been done, right?
Yeah. You did 3
So-
and you
Well,
were
it just
second.
shows you how much. I'm glad we brought all this up because it shows you how much everything has drastically changed. I don't even want to say drastically changed because right now, like me fishing the invitationals this year, I couldn't fish the opens and have a shot at qualifying. It was not possible with the schedule conflict and stuff like that, or I probably would have been doing it. You know, I probably would have, if that was still the case where you could fish one division and still get in,
Yeah.
that would have been a tempting offer. But that just shows you how much things have already have drastically changed.
It
It's
seems
kind of like
now-
there's a line in the sand, really.
You got to
with that
make
deal.
they're making. It seems as though now you have to make more tough decisions instead of like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna do everything, dude. I
Yeah.
want to if you fish for a living, you want to do as many as you
Yeah,
can.
kind
do
of
all
commit
it.
to an organization.
That's not really you.
But
really
they
just
want
can't.
they want you to commit to them. But
Yeah.
you know they still want to go out on the weekends and chase girls. Like, there's no commitment, as we just saw last week, right? With
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
some of those announcements coming out. So, anyways, that's like we've talked about. I think we talked about my story before. I've kind of been around, seen it all. Was a school teacher, gave that up to chase this, dream or whatever. Started guiding.
Successful guide on TV.
That was my first thing. Was I wanted to like earn a living fishing, and for me, it just didn't. It felt too much like gambling to like just go for it. So I didn't go for it. I built my guide business. That felt like going for it for me, and fished locally for years, and it's been a wild ride. So to kind of culminate on the season, it was going good.
Mm-hmm.
Then it did not end well.
Well, I remember going to the Northern Swing. I mean, we talk
Yeah.
often. I mean, you were sitting.
I was in 38th place. I remember right where I was, and I was thinking about making the Bassmaster Classic, and smallmouth ruined my dreams. And so, with that said, it's not official. It's unofficially official that I will not be on the Elite Series next year, and that's been weird because the extra kick in the groin. If you've seen the schedule, there happens to be one.
on Toledo. Yeah.
Yes, the elite schedule was definitely
Painful.
setting up.
They start the
for,
year there, correct?
They do. February's
is-
only like my favorite time to fish there, and it's when I won the Open there, and so
Only like a
It's when those
fastball in your
pre-spawn
wheelhouse.
giants are like actually rolling
I
together.
actually said in a previous podcast, I think that based on that schedule, I think that will be the heaviest weight of the season. I
That
think it'll
Toledo?
be heavier than Fork, the winning weight.
it's very positive. I do think through the field it'll be very good, but part of me hopes that all of their lines tangle and their rods break, and everyone's prop
We have
falls
a
off.
freeze and Toledo Bend just
Yeah.
cancels the event over.
I hope it's
altogether.
man.
below 30, 17 days in a row. So
It's February. There's a great chance that there'll be a
it'll be
weather.
brutal, but dude, they'll like smash. So, but yeah, so like good season, cruising along. Went up north, didn't catch them. Dream crusher, and then the schedule comes out, Toledo Bend. So, I needed about a day and a half to get over that.
Yeah,
Kinda sucked.
I didn't message you right away. I
No.
was like, I'm gonna stay out of this one.
When I left St. Lawrence, You know, like, especially because so many people watch the weigh-ins and all that and saw, like, you know, I was a wreck. I'm the dude that, like, bawled his eyes out when I made it. So, of course, I'm going to bawl my eyes out when it don't go my way. Like, that is what it is. It means a lot to me. So, for it to not work out was, I don't know, dude. It was low. I was pretty low.
but I mean,
it sucked.
I can only imagine.
But, dude, I've got over it. Like, I really did. You turn the page on that stuff. If you really want to get to the top level, you have to have some thick skin, and you have to just absorb those things.
Yeah, you got to be able to take some shots for
especially
sure.
Especially our sport, it seems, you know.
Well, you lose more than you win, and there's more stories of guys like me that go and fail than guys that make it. The 1% make it, and there's a whole bunch of us that want to.
Yeah,
but you did make it.
You can't say fail. That's probably the wrong word.
No, fail's the wrong way, but just I feel like at this time things didn't work out. That's really how I've made my peace with it, and that's what I searched for coming home, and especially for a few days. I got home, put the boat up, and just got away from fishing for a little bit. You got to make your peace with how it worked out. But I felt like I did everything I could, and I'm serious. It's still, you know, it's not a fun subject to talk about, but like I've made my peace with it. I've done everything I could. If you had told me 10 years ago, 5 years ago, 20 years ago that I would get to do some of the things I've done, dude,
You'd sign up for it in a heartbeat.
Yeah, I mean, like,
Yep.
In a heartbeat. I'd go through it all over again. It's all worth it. So,
yeah, I mean,
with that said, you just got to get better and move on. It is what it is. There's just nothing else to say about it. But I have to be honest with people and say it did suck, dude. Bad.
Yeah.
Bad. I cried on stage in front of everybody. I cried in the camper hugging my wife that night. The next morning, I went and did live. Cried like a baby.
Oh, live mix.
Yeah, because I just
Man, they asked you to do that?
Yeah, they did. I wanted to because I didn't get a chance on stage to thank sponsors and things like that.
No, it's still a good opportunity. I mean, hats off to you for shaking it off and going out there. I'd have been like,
oh, it wasn't easy. It was tough.
I'm like, hey, bro, I'm out. Dog.
hey, Bowman,
like,
coming, brother.
Like one of the best dudes on earth is Palaniuk, and like we're not like super close, but we got closer this year than we were before. But he saw me, so like he was getting ready to go on live next, so he's behind the things. I mean, Gussie, and I saw him kind of talking when we finished. I went over and spoke to him, and he's like, dude, it's guts to be here, dude. Like he kind of gave me an attaboy. But I've always been that way. I've been on the low end a lot, and I've been on the high end a little, and that's the nature of the sport, dude.
It's a roller coaster.
It is, and I've been up and I've been down, so. It sucks. It's been kind of hard to explain to people. I still get people like, man, you excited for February? And I don't know what to say. I'm like, yeah, can't wait, bro.
They don't know.
People don't. Yeah, the schedule ain't out, and people aren't really immersed. If they're really immersed with what I do and talk about, they've heard me say that I probably won't be back. But it's not official for 2 weeks. That's the other part. You kind of get, I don't want to say strung along because I've seen the list. I know where I'm at.
Yeah.
But basically the first week of November is when they have to pay their first deposit.
Yeah.
And so I won't get an invitation then. And I won't get any more emails. We get weekly emails from the elites. I'll get
no more email updates?
No more email updates. So
you get those on Thursdays?
The Thursday update will be gone.
Yeah.
Is what it is. So
are you willing to talk about that northern? I don't know what direction we're planning on going, but are you willing to talk about that northern swing and talk about maybe the difficulties of it? Like, I mean, that's just something that I've kind of talked to Shane about on that. Like, is it lack of that the smallmouth fisheries, or is it just like how much things have changed? Like, because I've talked about that with Shane before. Like, man, I really feel like that's a weak part of my game. Like something I maybe need to go try to do before I ever get to a high level like that. Like. Is it like that, or is it? What do you think it is with those northern?
I felt it was a combination of all of it. So obviously for all of us down here, going up there and chasing these smallmouth is something we're not used to doing. It's
totally different.
So different, right?
Yeah.
Like totally different. But now with forward sonar, like that's pretty much all you do. If you go north,
correct.
Like
if you're not, you're in a bind.
Yeah, and so I knew that. I actually went and spent the whole summer up there. You know, I traveled with my wife, so I'm able to do that. I went and pre-fished everywhere in New York, went to St. Clair, got ready for that tournament, felt good, caught smallmouth all summer long. Like, I'm a better smallmouth angler now than I was before, and I still got my butt kicked. But it was just a train wreck of stuff. And then after going in St. Clair, I'm in 38th, and I ended up finishing 90-something. I kind of missed the area there. I literally drove through it like everybody did. But if you wasn't in that area, you know, your chances were pretty, I won't say impossible, but slim. Not many people caught them elsewhere. A lot of the checks, I think 30,
it all went down in one area.
35 of 50 checks come in one area.
Wow.
So that tells you if you're outside that area, it could happen.
At St. Clair.
At St. Clair. Just seemed to fish small. But No, that one there, I touched fish. Like I had my hands on fish that would have got me one of those like finishes somewhere in the 70s. Not good, but like I basically missed qualifying by about 20 points.
Got you.
So I finished 90 something there, but I literally touched them and they just come off like this weird string of things started happening, losing fish dumb ways, fish jumping off, like all that. And so with that not being in the best area, poor finish.
Like a smallmouth, for those that don't know, they're extremely difficult to land a lot.
Yeah,
like,
you got them
great. You got to go in knowing you're probably going to lose a few.
You're going to lose some, so you got to plan on getting a lot of opportunities.
Correct.
But also, like, that's the part that was, when I'm saying it was a crazy string of things, I went and pre-fished these other lakes for 2 weeks. I didn't lose a lot of fish drop shotting and doing this stuff. Like, it was just wild. Like, and I know what starts happening then.
Yep.
Is you start thinking, like,
Yeah.
Because I knew going into this year, for me, Bass had said a thing on the Elite Series, if you fell below the top 70 for this year, you go into the group where you could possibly be dropped.
Yeah.
And of that group, then they use your AOI average.
Yep.
So for me, I knew I had to be top 70. So after that event, I'm still like, it's all good. We actually went on vacation for a week over in New York, with like the Swindles, Palinux, and all that. Actually, we had 2 weeks. But I fished every day in the vacation time. I went every day grinding, dude, just trying to learn,
Just trying to
get better at smallmouth, and I felt good going in the last 2 events. And again, same kind of stuff, just like weird things happened, and then like things you can't control, like the wind blew really hard on Champlain, which it does often.
Yep.
Just so happened I couldn't find any good areas in the protected stuff, so I end up in the wind, makes it a little harder, lost some fish, all those like, I say boring excuses, but then like the train at that point is coming off the tracks, dude. So I literally tried everything I could like to get it right. Going into St. Lawrence, I had a pretty good idea of where I needed to be, and I still was not in a bad spot as far as just qualifying and staying.
Correct.
And there's a bunch of guys behind me had to catch them, and I had to not catch them.
Yeah.
And all those things happened, dude. I didn't catch them, and all the wrong dudes caught them. And when it all shook out, you're sitting there like, what the hell just
It's over.
happened?
Like, what just happened?
Yeah, like
So fast,
how did
especially those two being back to back.
It's brutal. And
fast.
I went up north and basically had 3 tournaments, I think, in 5 weeks. And that's great when you're running good, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, momentum's real, and it can go both ways. It can go
100%.
forwards or backwards.
And it went backwards for me in a hurry. There's really I have no major reason for it, no excuse. It's just a bunch of wild crap that happened. I don't think that ever happened again in my career. Like, it was just, and I ended up finishing, just outside the cut with all that happening. It was a blow, dude. I can't underestimate or like pretend it didn't bother me. It hurt like hell, dude. So, but anyways, we come home. I had 2 weeks before Ozarks. Got the room with you and the boys at the Ozarks. So I parked my boat up, didn't do crap on my boat, man. Like, put it in timeout, played golf a lot, worked on my golf game, and I wanted to take a little time away from fish and see where I felt about it, because emotionally I was a little drained, obviously. So rode up to Ozarks and had a great time that week with you guys. Ended up having a pretty good tournament, a lot of fun.
Yeah, you had a great finish with that one.
But just in practice, I could tell, like, yeah, I was hurt how it all turned out, but just in practice, I could tell, like, okay, it's not like I'm done here. I'm not quitting.
Yeah.
I've never been that dude to quit. You can just keep kicking my ass, but I ain't going to quit,
Right.
So it felt good. But so I guess moving forward now, we're looking at what we're going to do next year.
Yeah. What's your thoughts? Where you at?
Nothing's been decided, but I just kind of want to let like the decision come to me. And I felt like every day I woke up after that traumatic event, I guess I need to come up with a saying like, we have like maybe after St. Lawrence, ASW or ASL after St. Lawrence. I want to just see how I felt about it, like what I want to get out of this, because this is my job. It's all I've known now for a long time. Like my whole adult life, I've pursued where I'm at, right? And I'm not dead, and I can't quit, so you got to keep going. So I'm looking at what I'm going to do. It just feels as though I want to go back and do the Opens, but nothing's been decided completely.
So you're not like 100% committed to anything.
I'm not 100%.
You're leaning Opens. You're leaning Bass.
Opens.
You want to go back. You want to kind of get back in the Elites.
Yeah,
get back in there.
I know what I'm not. I know I'm not going to fish where I started my pro career. I'm not going back to that. That feels like a dead end road right now. NPFL has some interesting offerings. They their schedule is going to come out soon.
Wednesday, which we'll probably post this tomorrow. So it's
What is today? Monday? Yeah.
Monday.
Yeah. So it's coming out soon. So that's a thought. I'm not even sure if I would have a guaranteed spot or if I could get a spot, but maybe they have some cool things going on. That's a spot guys can go fish. But I'm kind of crazy. I would do that in the opens if I had the opportunity. If they don't conflict, I don't mind a heavy schedule. Bring it on. So we're just still kind of deciding. I still have a few weeks where I got to decide, but I can tell you like what drives me and what I think about is making it back to the elites, making the classics. Just does. You can't help.
Well, that's something that Wyatt and I talk about all the time is our goals, right? You know, we're always having these conversations both on and off the air about, you know, what do you really want when you're done, when you're old and you're retired, you know, what are you going to say you've accomplished? And for me, my goals are pretty simple. I'd love to fish a classic. Right. That's goal number one. Number two would be to be an elite qualifier, whether I go or not. Wyatt still hadn't figured out what his goals are, but I mean, if that's your goals as far as, you know, you've already fished a classic.
I got to fish one, and I got to go live that life, and it's not what everybody thinks it is, but it's hard to explain. Like if you have that in you, if you have that desire to do it, then you don't care that people can't explain. Like I should have quit fishing 10 years ago. Like I fished the opens a long time, didn't always do well. Wasn't like I was always kicking everybody's butt, but I don't care. Like I mean, I know what I want, and I feel like I know what I'm capable of. So.
Yeah.
Now I'm 41. I'm like an old timer now. I'm not a young guy anymore. I'm looking at what I want out of all this, where do I want to be, and I just want to keep doing what I've done. I've kind of lived my life, you know, no regrets.
No regrets.
No regrets. But no, like, you know, pursue the things you can while you can. So every day I wake up, like, that's what's driving me, dude, is thinking about, I still think about when I won that open or when I got to be on the classic stage or some of my highs and low moments on the Elite Series. Like that seems to be what's driving me. But, you know, in the end, I'm going to look at it all the next couple of weeks. You know, I still got to talk with sponsors. It seems like everybody's good with whatever I want to do. But
that's nice.
Got to make some of those decisions on what we'll fish next year. And then obviously I'll be around guiding a little bit more. Probably start posting on all the reports pages about all my successful trips, like Wyatt does. And
I posted like 3 of them.
Well, nowadays you got to post that you've caught. You know, if you're not catching 100+ fish a day,
drives me crazy, man.
Then you're not.
Put it on your page.
What are you
if you don't have enough people following you, then so be it. Anyways, but that's where I'm at right now. So it's one of those deals. Like it did take a little time to get over, but I seriously feel like I made peace with it and kind of looking forward. I'm
looking forward to next year.
Yeah, I'm kind of excited.
What do you think about the open schedule?
As far as the locations, okay, so this is what I've decided my last couple of years. I'm not a guy to like, especially like I wouldn't go on social media and like complain about schedules and all that stuff. I ain't gonna come on your podcast and do it either. Even in my head, like when it originally come out, I was kind of like, "That's weird. We're going to Ouachita in February.
That's gonna be cold
in Arkansas.
It's gonna be cold as heck.
I didn't know they had tournaments in Arkansas in February, but
it's gonna be cold.
You know, if it'd be 25 degrees here and they had a Toyota series, we'd jump in it and fish it in January. We wouldn't care.
Absolutely.
So,
that's the best time.
So, you know, I'm trying to change some of that stuff mentally. Like, I just don't think it does you any good to complain about.
Sure, but you can like or dislike. It doesn't mean you can complain about it. But
you just can't dwell on the negative.
No,
but
I agree.
There's a few things on it that I didn't love, and then obviously there's some stuff that I loved. Like, you know, there's some heavy travel up north, back and forth.
Yeah,
that's rough for us.
Logistically, I didn't feel like they thought that out, but I really didn't mind any of the lakes.
No, for the most part, Okeechobee will fish very small.
Shit,
like you'll get to know a lot of your friends. Yeah,
row.
Dude, we fished 100 there in the Elites this year, and I watched. There was like 10 cameras around me, and there was like 40 dudes. Yes,
that's nuts.
We had 150 there, and it was
small. I can imagine how small the fish. So some of that stuff, but again, you can't. You just have to. That's just a fact. We'll say it's a fact. It's going to fish small.
230. Because the first one's probably going to have a full field.
It'll have a full field.
230 on
Speaking
Okeechobee.
of field size.
They hadn't put that out yet, right? Like no rules or nothing for the open.
No. They're supposed to release that early this week, but priority registration starts in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Do you think, based on what you saw this year with all 9, where they have 173 sign up for the EQs?
Started, yeah.
I think we finished with like 80.
Yeah.
70 maybe.
Typical.
You think that number will go up or down? You think you have a full field, 200 plus?
So I think as far as dudes that want to, it's going to go up. But I think if you start looking at some of the external factors in the world going on right now, I can't say for a fact it's going to. Like, there's a lot of weird stuff going on. Like money wise and economics right now ain't great in this country.
The economy is not great.
No, and like, I can't believe we're gonna talk about interest rates, but dude, like, there's a lot of like boats for sale right now.
Why do you think
There are so many boats for sale.
I got a boat for sale. Like, it's weird.
White's got a boat for sale.
I normally got them fighting over it. So
It's like, I'm not even going to sell it.
I'm just at this point probably going to, I'm looking
roll
at
it.
I think everybody in our position in the industry has got a boat for sale. There's very few of us
Probably.
that were smart enough to sell it early. I mean, that's all I got to say.
I know normally I do.
I've been listed for a while.
So like,
Yeah.
so I do think obviously the desire there is there, and there's a lot of people fired up to go do them now and try to qualify, but is the money going to be there for everybody? The answer is probably yeah. There's probably going to be 200 dudes sign up that are EQ anglers, I would bet. It wouldn't surprise me. And it'd be a giant field, and we'll all be ready to go. After 4 or 5 events,
They start to pull out.
You start seeing some trickle away,
Yeah.
if they're not having a good season. Don't blame them because it's so expensive. So, yeah, I'm curious to see how it's going to work out. I'm just excited for – it always excites me to think about what could be next.
Sure.
If you don't think about that stuff, you're going to struggle to me in this world. Like, something has to fire you up every day, and so it fires me up to think I could jump back in. Maybe I could re-qualify. Maybe I could win one, make the Classic. Like, all those things, they really fire me up and excite me. I know that sounds crazy considering I just had a bad year, but, like, I want that smoke again. I'm ready for it again already.
Yeah.
I didn't do it this long to not feel that way, but that's what fires me up is to, kind of sit around, dream about that stuff a little bit. Like, it'd be cool. It'd be a cool story for me to, like, go back and qualify next year, or even qualify with, like, some of my
that'd be
buds.
awesome.
Have a few of my buds qualify and actually have a little squad to run with.
Yeah.
That'd be fun.
Have a little crew out there.
So that's kind of what's going on right now. I mean, we basically got about 2 weeks to make these decisions that's going to affect everything.
It's crazy how
next year.
fast they kind of get you to turn around and do it. It's like
Wild.
they don't give you a whole lot of time once season wraps up. I mean, you really need to be proactive all season and preparing for the next season. And that's with sponsors and stuff like that. But
Do you think getting into the opens, if you want to fish all 9, will be an issue? Let's say you're an angler, hey, I got the money, I want to fish all 9, I'm ready to sign up.
But hadn't, like, be your first year fishing them?
Well, I guess as an EQ angler or whatever.
Be your, like, first year to jump
I
up
wouldn't
to, like,
think so just because I don't think they're going to get 225.
I think
That's
it
a
will be.
lot.
I disagree. I think it will be. I think it'd be.
There'll be a waiting list for EQ guys?
It was last year, I heard.
No, because they only had 173.
Well, I mean, there was a waiting list. There's enough dudes now wanting to do one division. They may talk themselves into doing all of them. I think it won't be a full field, I don't think, of EQ anglers, but I do.
Cool.
They're not easy to get into, dude. I mean, let's say you got 175 get in. That leaves 50 per tournament or so for your jackpotters to do a division.
Yeah.
That's nothing, dude.
I would think if you put your deposits down for all 9, you're pretty much guaranteeing your seat. But I could be wrong, man. There could be
Probably.
with the MLF shakeup again.
Yeah, but I
You
don't
could see
think
some
that,
invitational dudes bail.
Yeah, but there'll be 150 in the invitationals field.
Well, they're going to fill that up anyway. They're going to call down the list and need Toyotas.
it's brutal this week. I saw guys getting their invitations, and they're like posting on social media, like like these are people I like friends, and I feel bad. Like they're so excited. I'm going to the invitationals, man. I finally made it. Knowing what I felt the year I fished, and then some of the stuff with you, like I don't know.
I will say, whoever has that invitation right now, they've probably actually earned it. At this
100%, and they should be excited.
They've either finished in the top. Like I've got the invitation because I was double qualified. I was top 5 in points in Toyotas. Plus, I qualified through the points.
Double qualified.
Like, if you've got one right now, they ain't called down a list to you.
No, and I'm not saying. I'm just saying toward their well-being going forward. So, like, they keep making a lot of changes.
There's a lot of
That's
guys,
tough.
even from our area, that I like that gotten invitations. You know, Cody. I've had a conversation with Cody Ross.
Like, I'm pumped for them. That's awesome. They should feel.
But I'm just going to tell you, because I was in a situation last year, if something that they want to do, you will not talk them out of it.
Oh, 1,000%.
Yeah.
And
I was the same way this year.
I understand that. I've lived that life too.
You got to let them go, and
you got to let them go, and as like buddies, I like root for them. But as someone who's lived a life now a little bit, as an old timer looking at it, you're like,
Yeah, not sure about that decision.
well, I mean,
You got to do what you got to do.
you
What
got
feels
the
right
dream,
time.
you want to go do it, and you qualified, dude. You got to go do it. So I don't.
The way I look at it is
talk them out of it.
The way I looked at it is really I think it's kind of simple on my end. Like, either you've got the money. Well, I don't know. I guess it's different for everybody. Everybody's in a different situation. But either you get the money from somewhere to cover your entries and expenses, and that way when you do, hopefully you have a good enough year when you cut checks, it's all profit. Then if all you're fishing for is financial reasons, then I think the Invitationals. Honestly, I think you could do okay if you think you can make cuts, because that's $8,000 profit at minimum every time you make cuts. So they're not going to do that at the Opens. I don't. That's the worst payout in my opinion in fishing in general.
Money pit. True.
But it's one of them deals like, you know, with like me and Shane talk about all the time, like that what they're offering from Bassmaster on the Elite Series and the Classic berth and all that. You know, that's what makes it worth it there. But I think some of these younger guys, they like, and myself included this year, they see the potential to make.
He's saying younger guys like he's an old.
I am a younger guy.
He's an old.
Hey,
I mean, he is kind of old in the average.
Yeah,
bass
the average age of the EQ qualifiers this year was 22, so I'm old. I'm 27.
Yeah, believe me, I was there.
Like it's, and that's not going anywhere. That age will not rise. That will stay the same.
College kids.
I think what I'm getting at is everybody's situation is different. So
Yeah.
For me, I've had to take a step back and say, okay, I got to figure out, like me and Shane have this conversation all the time. What am I doing this for? What are my sponsors going to be okay with? The people that help me.
Dude, I can tell you a lot of it from my perspective. You got to decide what's good for you. Like, what are you wanting to do? So you'll be fired up about it and excited when you accomplish the things.
Good way to look at it.
I'm going to go do the invitationals because money-wise, I got sponsors and I could go maybe get some checks. But if you don't really feel in your heart like this is, like if you're not really committed, dude, it's hard. Like, you know, it's really hard, especially if you have a bad one or two. Like,
you get in your head bad.
You do. See, I mean, and everyone's different. Like, how you're going to do it. Like, it's cool to accomplish that. So I would never tell anybody anything bad about it. I hope guys really are well informed. Like, listen to a lot of dudes, talk to a lot of dudes, like, get a lot of info. Just be well informed of what you're truly getting into, of how expensive, like, this all, like, really is. Like, truly, and how far you can set yourself back. I just don't want to hear the stories of guys, man, doing the credit cards and
that's not gonna happen.
Going $30,000, $50,000 in debt, and you're still in your 20s. Like, I don't want those stories.
I didn't.
They're going to do it though.
That I didn't realize that happened until this year when I was on Invitationals
talking to guys you were fishing with.
Some guys like, they're like, yeah, man, how much money did you get to raise this year? I'm like, oh, that's kind of a personal question, but like I've always said, you know, I'm not going to tell you how much I got, but I always said I'm never going to do this unless it's all covered. So
yeah,
you know, there's that, you know, and they're like, oh, well, I had enough sponsor dollars to pay for the first or second one, and then I'll put. Like, hopefully I make enough. They're betting on that they make enough in the first or second to continue to go.
That's like, to me, that always, and that's why I didn't do it when I was much younger or whatever.
There's
like,
no way, dude.
Attempt to do it as much then. Like, you just want to set your family back and set your life back. Now, I'm not throwing any shade. Some of those guys are going to do it and go rock it and make it and do big things. That's what they got to do. There are those stories. I hate when our industry sells those stories. Like,
this is what you should do.
It's unlikely, but it's possible.
Well, they'll sell the story about like 2 guys did this, but they don't talk about the other 150
Yeah,
that don't own boats anymore.
Yeah.
Like, they hate fishing now. Like, so I just don't want guys to do that. Like, something you love, you got to figure out how to responsibly go about chasing the dream until you get your opportunity to really do something. So for me, I had that base of a guide business. Like, I had something, a career to fall back on that worked out. For others, they're entrepreneurs and they're business owners. They have that going on. So they're not just crushing themselves and their family, because you end up hating fishing if it does that. And I just don't want that. It's not good for anybody, dude.
Yeah, and I agree 100%. But you're right. They do sell some of those stories. They're cool stories to listen to, but you're right. They do not show the dark side, which is guys that are
the majority,
$25,000 in credit card debt after the season.
The majority.
Yeah, and that's tough, dude.
And can't go next year,
or really ever again. You know,
yeah.
A lot of them. So those stories suck. That's probably why they don't talk about it. It's not fun to talk about. But I want the guys that are the dreamers out there, the me 10, 12 years ago, you know, to do that.
Well, the cool thing about this is, like, you know, you've been on the Elites for several years now, and then Shane fished all 9 Opens this year, and I fished Invitational. So you're talking about 3 guys that literally you got to see kind of
across
all the things we're talking about right here.
Dabbled with it a little bit.
Yeah, like, and, you know, obviously you've fished the tour too and stuff. So, and I guess you've done all the things that we're doing, me and Shane are both doing right now.
Except for the NPFL, which sounds like he's going next year.
Yeah, the NPFL.
Nothing's been decided. Unless the Juice Podcast wants to be a title sponsor,
Juice Podcast is looking.
We've got so many sponsors ourselves.
Digging those pockets.
Look, the first 20 minutes of the show is sponsored.
I will say the first time actually getting to come in studio and do this, it's apparent how well y'all are doing, boys.
I think it looks great.
I asked if there were going to be cocktails and a charcuterie board, and I was told no, it's not in the budget.
We don't have a budget for
a little cheese and meat would go a long ways.
Right
yeah, there really is.
We've done a couple little.
You boys are doing okay for what y'all are doing in life. I really think that a lot of times you gotta take some of the stuff. Like, you just gotta look at things. It's okay to dream, but you gotta figure out a plan. So, like, it's boring to say, but like when I was a school teacher and I fished every single weekend, every vacation. It's all I did. I did not play golf. I didn't go drink beer. I didn't do all those fun things that everyone thinks now that I'm like a psycho because I play golf 3 times a week and drink beer and hang with my buddies and do all this. When I was pursuing it, I really didn't. Like, it was all I did was pursue it, right? And then in order to pay for my fishing, along with being a school teacher, you don't make much money coaching, you know. I started a screen print business. Like, literally, we'd come home from teaching school and coaching and go.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I was my first big sponsor. Screen print, like T-shirts, like.
Oh, I got
like
you.
Put a logo on a shirt.
Yeah, I could knock out 25 an hour, man. I was rolling, balling. But there's good markup. It was good business. But I did that as a way to do it. And I didn't do these things for like 3 months. And then I turned elite. Like, I did it for years, dude.
What level are you talking about right now?
I'm talking all levels. Like, opens, if you're stepping up to do any of it.
At this point in your
I'm doing.
Are you like fishing champs?
No. I'm doing champs, BFLs, all that stuff. But it's right when I initially was starting the opens.
Okay.
Which means
you're fishing anything.
Yeah, I was fishing anything, everything at home.
You think that was good for you?
Doing it that way?
Mm.
Yeah, for me it was.
Okay.
It was because it allowed me to take my time learning. It allowed me to not feel like I could go broke any minute and all that stuff. But
whether you did good or bad, you feel like it was good.
Yeah, that was just my story.
Throw yourself in the fire kind of deal.
Yeah, like I stepped up to the opens probably when I didn't have enough experience to do it. I probably wasn't ready, but I stepped up with the goal to become ready. Mm. So, like, you know, if you're not winning, you're learning, right? So I was learning a lot. I wasn't winning very much. But I'm saying all that to say, like, a lot of times guys...
No, you got to be honest with yourself. Me and Shane talked about this today.
Like, you got to look at where you're at and what you think you can accomplish, but you have to be really honest and say, can I go do that right now? And for me, like, it took me a long time of doing all those things, and like I felt like I was more comfortable fishing because I had my little screen print business. I did all these things to help me, like, hard knocks my way through all this, right? And that was my story. It's what worked for me. But a lot of times everybody romanticizes all the stories. It's like, I picked up a rod and wanted to go, and I just did. And we get sold this dream.
Really, no one.
And then you got all these guys that are trying, dude. They go buy the boat, they go put their money up, and they're like, here you are, 5 tournaments in the EQs, and you ain't sniffed a check, and you're down 10, 12 grand, and you're like, dude, I can't catch one. No one at home to talk to you, and you're like, what's going on? That's not you just got to figure out the steps for you. You know what I'm saying? It's different for everybody.
Yeah, some people excel and learn in that environment. Other people, it kind of eats them up. You know, you got to be careful about that. I mean,
would you say that the opens level is a good learning level? Like, what is that learning
if you can
level?
handle that smoke? I think club tournaments are good. Club tournaments,
club tournaments ain't traveling across the country.
It's not, but sometimes you got to learn at home before you go off. Like,
yeah, again, I'm with you on. I'm a firm believer in that. Somebody was telling me this the other day. Who was it? Golly, because it was somebody like decent. I think it might have been Kelly J. Like, that was talking about. He's like, man, if you like ain't doing very good around the crib, you might want to reconsider going. Like, it ain't just gonna magically change. Like, it ain't like
you're not gonna hit the road and become good.
Right. Yeah, like, it's not the way it works.
So for me, like, I wanted to get to where I was consistent around Toledo Bend and Rayburn, even though I've never really been a Rayburn local.
Oh, you are.
But you're talking about
true Rayburn local,
a truly competitive fisheries right there.
I think you might actually be
100%,
truly competitive.
And we're blessed by that because it's a good litmus test for you. Give yourself a few years fishing around here and see how you're doing. And I never dominated. I didn't win, 25 angle years, any of that. But I got to where I was doing pretty consistent and making some checks and catching limits. And so, but I always like to tell a story, though, of like I had side gigs to help pay for it all because for me, I didn't want to be taken from my family's money. Like, I wasn't putting a lot in being a school teacher, dude. You wasn't making no money, right? So anyways, with all that said, I just want everybody to, we all start doing this because we love the sport, right? We love the competition.
100%.
I don't care what level you do it at. Like, you love it. you can lose that if you get in over your head.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like I've seen some dudes come out of college, jump right into the tour, and now they're like 28. They don't even own a boat. They don't fish anymore. They hate fishing. Like, I don't want that. I just want people to enjoy it. There's enough opportunities at any level to where you can be having a great time, being competitive.
Yeah.
So you don't have to go fish the Opens or the Toyota Series or the Invitationals or whatever. You don't have to do that to make this something fun.
No, I find myself having some what I call grounding moments when I'm out there on the water, where I kind of have a moment to myself. Where I'm like, just remember, this is fishing.
Yeah.
You're fishing.
You gotta remember that, man.
You're just going fishing.
There's some times this
That's it.
year, bro. Jesus.
You know, you can't put that kind of pressure on yourself.
Those
and
bad feelings, like they hurt.
Oh,
they
yeah,
hurt
they'll get
you.
They do, man. They'll swallow you up. They'll ruin your day. Next thing you know, it's out of control, and
So,
you've
like,
lost the day.
You know, like after I had my little bad northern swing, and people care about you. You know, they're like, dude, I'm sorry. Like, you have to remind them, I chose this.
Yeah.
I wanted it. Like,
I signed up for it willingly.
signed up for it. I wanted it. Like, so it's not like there's worse things that could be going on in my life. So
That's true.
but you do have to remind yourself, like, you have to want it. If you really, really want it, it's attainable, but it's going to hurt at times.
Yeah.
So
It is attainable. It's it's more popular than ever. The competition is stout. I mean,
more expensive than ever.
payouts are the same.
Lots of those things. And none of this stuff, like, you can sit and gripe about it every day. There's lots of circles right now griping about all the changes from organizations and this and that. And, like, if you want it, you got to go do it, dude.
Yeah, I mean,
Boats
that's
are expensive,
that's
gas
it.
expensive, lures are expensive, everything's expensive, all that.
It's a good, but I mean,
But they'll
griping is still a good part of it, though, because you need to be vocal with the organizations and what you're fishing with. I mean, I feel like we got to be careful as anglers if we've gotten a little too quiet.
No, I think healthy discussion is good, especially if you see something going on. And I will say, like, as far as my experience with bass, for the most part, if I had to call, like, you know, we have your pecking order who you
had
call.
an issue.
I could call, and they're pretty open to listen. That don't mean they're going to change because you say it.
Do anything
Clearly.
Yeah.
But, no, I do think those discussions, I do think, though, sometimes we all go down the rabbit hole too much. Just be honest, dude.
Yeah.
Fishermen whine and bitch
Oh, we're so good at it.
more than – and I don't mean
That's our thing.
club fishermen, and I don't mean BFL fishermen. I mean every level to the top, just whine and gripe. And I've been in those talks. I've been in that space myself and done that. You do that too much, dude, and, like, it just pours negativity into your damn life. Like,
Yeah, you can't be putting that kind
you
of.
can't go that far with it. It's good to have healthy discussions about what's
Sure.
going on.
No, I totally agree. Yeah.
And then, but we gotta do better moving on. So, let's move on. Let's talk about what do you got on your list.
Well, we were going to go back. We were going to stay on the negative for a second because
We're gonna talk.
We're going to talk the.
Let's talk about Floyd and his decisions.
Yeah,
Let's
Floyd.
do that.
Floyd.
well,
Muckett.
you know, you're talking about the anglers speaking up.
Right.
There you go.
So what's-
majority of BPT guys have formed a committee.
Well, so let's just rewind for those who have been living
Under a rock.
underground
Or in a tree stand, maybe.
I've been in a tree stand.
It's deer season. Yeah.
So another change from MLF, and it sounds like the BPT guys weren't even aware of this coming. Blindsided by this change.
As
Which,
far as I
whatever,
was-
we weren't in that, but the change was they had 80 anglers, and now they're going to cut down to 50.
After next season.
So 2025 they'll be 50.
Yeah.
So they're going to cut 30
So the big change next season, 24, is they're going back to
to
the every fish counts. And I think that we talk about anglers speaking up. Last year, a lot of the anglers, I know some of the guys that spoke up really wanted to go back to 5 fish.
5 fish.
And it was kind of like, I want to go 5 fish or I'm leaving. That's the rumors I was hearing.
Yeah.
Like, if you
Like
don't go to
big
5,
names.
big names, and a lot of them were like, if we don't go back to 5, I'm out. And you saw a couple that fished the EQs this year that went ahead and left and made a transition or whatever. Just a few. So that's, I don't know, man. That's pretty, like, they did
So
it.
why did they go back? I don't understand that
I'm
move.
gonna tell you why they probably went back because I think
I
think what happened is they probably tried to listen to the anglers and they went with what they said. They let them vote, and I think they went with the majority, went back to 5, and they don't. I guess they probably don't feel that their viewership numbers agreed with what they made.
That's what I heard in the meeting is they were saying their viewership went down. and
went
things like
down
that.
because of
But-
that?
Well, they said it went down,
But
They
they're
try
not
to-
sure why.
They try to say it's because of that. But so that said, that's the biggest change for next year. But then, so let's get to the 25 season. They're looking at cutting like a third of their field. This is not just a third of random dudes. These are dudes that a lot of them packed their bags and left
A home with bass.
a home with bass and a future of bass and went over there. So it's tough. And hearing the part where this was supposed to be the angler-led organization, man, I feel for those guys. There was no conversation had with this stuff. They were pretty much blindsided.
That's what it sounds
Do
like.
those guys get a chance to stay or no?
What do you mean?
This season, do they get a chance to fish for their spot or no?
Yeah, they got to.
Well, it's going to go down to career average.
Top 35.
Not if they finish in the top. It won't matter what
Top 10.
Top 10.
The top 10 guarantees your seat. After that, it's career average.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
and they're going to take 35 from career average, then 5 from the invitation.
Okay, so they get to fish for their spot, but at the end of the day,
there's 10 seats guaranteed. It's not like the Elites, which is 70.
Right.
I got you.
So it's pretty tough for all of them. And I talked to I have a few friends over there, so I didn't talk to a lot, but some of the ones I talked to were probably not necessarily affected by this. They're doing well, but they're still irate, like just because it just ain't right to do that. Now, we just talked about griping and all that, right? We can gripe that all day. It's a decision they made.
Yeah.
I'm hoping this alliance they formed,
The committee.
this committee, whatever it is, I hope that will.
So that was a press release, a little thing from Bass Fan.
Yeah.
Coming from an
said
anonymous
that
source.
apparently there's a group of anglers.
It says majority.
Like 80.
Yeah.
What the number said, which is most of them, are forming a committee to try to negotiate or work with MLF. But
so this may not be set in stone.
well, I saw the rebuttal from the head honcho, and it didn't sound like
He said he's not.
he hadn't even heard of the organ. Is that what he said?
He said in his article from Bass Fan, he said that this isn't a.
Recognize? How do you?
This isn't a negotiation.
This is not a negotiation.
Pretty much. He's done went El Dictator on the situation. So, with that said, dude, like I just
How about a strike? How about an MLF strike?
dude? I think that'd be the best thing for the sport.
That's what we need.
Here's
we
the
need
deal,
a strike. Let's all go on
If
strike.
the dudes really said,
If they set out though, I mean, there's.
hey, their first event this year is at my place in January.
It is.
How cool it'd be if they just show up to the boat ramp and put it on the bank and
We're not going.
don't feel like
So
going
I've
there.
heard rumors of that's what they've talked about.
They are, dude, but come on.
How about we get Keanu
They'd be
Reeves
like,
and
all
the
right, let's do it. And
replacements
there'd
in
be like
here?
one guy like troll off.
They'd be
like,
like,
all right, man. You're like, yeah,
Two
I'm gonna
guys
do
like,
it.
no, there's 100 on the line. I'm going out there.
I'm just gonna be out here.
It's
Like, wait, you're not going? Shoot,
getting
there's only
anglers
10
to
of us this year.
organize
Oh,
would
they're
be
okay.
special. So, yeah, that's the big news. And I guess I just keep going back to I just feel bad for all those anglers, dude. Like, I mean, I shouldn't. I doubt many of them felt bad for my situation or because I didn't do well enough or whatever. But
Man,
I hate to see bad things happen to people like that. And I think it's bad for our sport that the organization has that much power. They can just say, all right,
And they do.
a 30 y'all gone.
The
But
reality is they do.
they 100% do. If those guys say that we're not going to fish, they start calling guys like us. Are you really going to tell me?
Listen, I'm not on that list. I can promise you that.
I'm
But
not
yeah,
either.
If Floyd called me and said, "Hey, man, you want to come
Well,
fish
you're
for
talking
100 on?"
if the 80 dropped out
Yeah.
and they call the top 80
They start calling
invitationals,
Keanu
if I get a
Reeves and all the
call-
other replacements.
I put the right
Yeah,
sticker
yeah.
over that. I'd throw the white pole. Like, come on, we'd go fish. That's always the weird thing. It's why the organizations have
Well,
so much
that's just
power.
fishing. That's the sport in general. It's an individual sport and
Right.
individual egos.
Yeah.
And you're right. They will fill it with replacements, but you'll get enough. There's enough big names in that if the right people,
Yeah, they do.
they
have
can
some
make
power.
enough noise
So-
that. But again,
I mean,
that's-
it's something to watch in the offseason. They if nothing else, they have made our off seasons very exciting because every year they got some kind of new change they're going to make or whatever's going to change the
that's
sport.
exactly what I told White last year. I
Yeah.
said that's the reason I wouldn't fish with that organization is
That's-
just because of that.
Yeah, and
not
that's-
saying I never will, but
And Bass has had some inconsistencies through the years here.
sure,
and there. So
sure, they've
I would just like to see all of it. Like this, is how we're going to do. Like really have a plan going forward. But the part that always gets me. So part of why they're doing this. Let's talk about why they're doing this. They're saying because they're not in a good spot financially. Well, 5 years ago when they come over, that ain't what all these guys were promised. We were promised no entry fees.
no entry
They're promised
fees,
big
highest
money,
payouts. Yeah.
all this big sponsor opportunity, and now they're not doing well. So my biggest issue with this, and so what I've heard behind the scenes is they're saying their production costs and things like that are too much, and so, but so you as an organization, you failed. So instead of you looking at your first thing you look at to cut the fat is let's send all these guys home and take away their job. That sucks. Because you made bad decisions, I'm gonna say they were paying maybe their analysts too much, or they had too many TV cameras, or buying too much coverage.
You're not balancing your budget.
They irresponsibly spent money. Can we say that? Probably
Yeah.
that happened.
Sure.
So I just don't understand why the fix to that is to not fire all those people that made those bad decisions.
I think
why we got to take it on the anglers?
This is going to be sound. I don't know how it'll sound. I don't care. But
You fished invitationals this year, so I expect you to be pro
what?
Pro Floyd. Stand up for him.
I'm not pro MLF for bass. I'm pro Wyatt Ferguson Incorporated. So here's the deal.
Saying his name in third person.
I think that because fishing is like, if it was any other business, any other major corporation that made cuts to employees, nobody would think twice, right? Because like, let's say a big company outside the fishing world and any other business is not doing well financially, they're gonna be able to look at their books like, where do we need to cut back? Okay, we're gonna cut these employees here. Like,
yeah,
that's the business world. And I
to
think
an
because
extent.
fishing, everybody's got own personalities and their own.
To an extent, but we're not employees of the organization.
No,
we
they're-
are
but
consumers.
Technically, we're customers. That's
That's
what-
customers.
That's
But
what's sick about us.
In that world,
We're paying them, and we still get cut.
We're so stupid.
that's kind of how it works. You know,
Tell
I
me
think
that
that's
all
the
time.
way that. I'm just telling you how the guys at the top are probably looking at it. They're
Yeah,
probably
yeah.
looking at it like, hey, if business ain't profitable, we're
send
not
you-
going to continue to do this and not be profitable.
Some of that stuff just sucks where you see like they've made some bad decisions and the anglers end up taking the brunt of it. You would like to see someone who supposedly is worth millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars to maybe.
What do you say? Reinvest?
I don't want to say reinvest, but you just make smarter decisions with how you spend your money. Say, okay, look, guys, we can go forward with 80, but we can't have 6 days of coverage for.
Yeah, we can't be on FS1 or we can't be on live.
We can't have 20 cameras. So we're going to do this.
We
We'll
only
cut
have
it back.
5 cameras.
We'll go old school, man, and do live for 2 days. It just feels to me there's other alternatives than
You're saying the 30-man
Kick
cut
guys.
is extreme.
it's high. I mean, it's
So let's
a third
say
of the field.
It's 2/3 almost.
Okay, I know it's extreme. I completely agree. But let's say, do you think they could have went about it a different way to get to 50? Because I don't necessarily disagree with the smaller field size. Like, I think
I hate it. I totally
Really?
disagree. Yeah,
You don't like the 50.
I don't, man. We have grown the sport, and now at the top level we're shrinking it.
Yeah.
And so now you got a bottleneck of, and I'm not just talking high school, college. There's a lot more people running around with boats and trucks now. Every tournament,
So you'd rather them see it go from 80 to, well, obviously 80 to 50 is retarded, but let's say 80 to 100.
something like. I mean, in this case, I just want them to leave it alone. Let them do their thing, man.
Yeah.
I actually thought the 5 fish thing was pretty cool this year. There were some really cool.
I enjoyed
scenarios.
it. I thought it was way better.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a nut. I watch them all. I don't really have.
I mean, you could clearly see though in some of those events who shines on the 5 fish deal. There was a little change in leadership
a little bit.
on some of those events where some guys that thrive in the 5 fish
Some of the
format
stuff that
versus
Well, we all come from 5 fish, It's
Right.
like, we're not going to be in a.
some of the stuff though, like as far as people not watching as much anymore, like it wasn't exciting if whoever went out and caught 28 pounds in the first hour and then just practiced the rest of the day, right?
Yeah,
So you have
yeah.
a wasted camera. But some of that, so tweak your format. There's ways to do it. I don't know what the answers. I don't know all the answers, but I just hate that the answer always seems to be, I know what we're going to do. We're going to cut the payouts at Invitational. We're going to
Yeah, that's.
cut the spots going to the VPT. So like we're talking about all this craziness. So let's talk about, is there 8 rookies in BPT this year? I think.
Yeah, they took 8.
I think 8 moved up. So going into next year, those guys, they don't have a career average in BPT. They're going to get one season. So if they don't finish top 10 out of the BPT.
or beat the other guys in career average because they only have one career average, right? So if you finish 12th, that's your career average is 12th.
Yes.
Is that how that works?
No, you don't get a 1 year.
So that's
Look,
so if you don't finish in top 10.
Okay, so I'm going to steal from, and I don't want to misquote somebody. I listened to an angler.
Okay, then I thought I could see that. I'm wrong because I thought that's how it was
So
going to go.
the rookies get 1 year. to be
From
in the
what I
top 10.
heard, and I've traveled a lot this weekend, but I thought I heard an angler who was going to be a rookie. I believe him. I heard him explain it as if I'm not top 10, I can't make it.
Okay.
So,
See,
like,
then I was wrong.
You need at least 2 years for an average, I think is what they're doing. But they're not going to give you 2 years. You need at least 2 years for an average.
Got you.
So that would mean a rookie coming out. That's how I interpreted it. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong.
They
But
need
if that's
to
the case,
clear that up.
That sucks, dude.
Whoa. The Elites gives you 2 years.
Yeah, well, you don't get 2 years because your first year does count, but you do
Yeah,
get
yeah,
2
but-
years before you potentially could be cut.
So correct me if I'm wrong. You qualify your rookie season. You have 2 years in the Elites.
you're guaranteed 2
and
years.
your second year, you better be in the top 70.
Or your career average needs to be high enough that you're okay.
So like if you finish 30th in the first year and 80th, and then your average would be somewhere above 70, as long as that average was higher than.
With the numbers you just told me, so I can do it in my head real quick. 30 and 80, that's 110. Be 55. Your number would be 55. You would be barely in.
Barely.
Based on the average.
Based on your career average.
Your career average would be 55 at that point.
But if you finish in the top 70, your second year, you're guaranteed in.
Yeah, if you as of now until they
change that.
So like that wasn't there. That deal was not there my first or second year. So like my second year, I was in a bind. So I finished like 70 something my first year, 75.
Yeah.
I think my career average is 75 in my 3 years. So I was like 70 something. So going into year 2, when I looked at the list of like all the average numbers, I'm like, oh Lord, I got to jump. So like all year I tried like fish like a maniac trying to finish real high because they didn't have that top 70 deal. The top 70 deal is a really good deal, especially for a younger guy. It gives you an opportunity if you do have a bad first season as you're learning the ropes, traveling, all that stuff. It's brutal.
Yeah.
I know some guys come out and just kill it. Kudos to them, right? But it just gives a guy a chance where year 2, if you're showing improvement, make top 70, like you're safe. So I like there to be a buffer there.
That makes sense. I actually like that a lot.
I thought that was a great decision they made.
2 ways
so
to
going to
stay
my
in.
third year, I knew where I needed to be.
You had to.
I need to make sure I'm in top 70. But I wanted to make the classic and start getting my average, working on my average, getting it lower and lower. So,
yeah, I would. They need to get some clarification on that because that's not the way I understood it about the invitationals either.
Well, and I may have misunderstood, but I could have swore I heard an angler that's going to be a rookie this year on BPT.
Has to be in the top 10.
Say, like he said, if I'm not in the top 10.
That is brutal.
No, that's not. Yeah, that's obviously
it could
not
be.
fair.
I mean, think about it though, because they don't want to get rid of their veteran guys. They would rather get rid of the rookies.
Following that year, following after this next season in 2025, when they are at their official 50, I think the qualifiers that come in, which they're only taking 5 from the invitationals next year. So if you are one of them 5, I think they only cut 10 from the field every year after that once they have it at 50.
I bet it. Well, I don't know. We're speculating. When it gets to 50,
And
I
it's
don't
not
see them
even-
cutting 10. I think they'll cut 5.
Oh, only 5?
That's me guessing. 10 out of 50 is a lot, dude.
Okay, so 5. So
That'd be a lot of turnover.
20%.
the invitationals, they would cut strictly for 5 to get back in.
That's what it seems like. But again, they can't make their own plans. We can't. We definitely can't.
That'll probably change again next year anyway.
It'll change next year anyway. So that sucks, but that seems to be like every year. That's off-season news. What's going on over there? And I there's a lot of like bad dudes over there that you hate to see this happen to. Like they catch them. Like a lot of good fishermen.
There's some dangerous men in there.
You think that their structure is kind of weird though too? Like it's like you got to qualify to qualify. Like the Toyotas to the invitationals to the BPT.
I mean, I see that. I think that initial change last year. I think kind of, and this is not a dig on the guys that qualified because you earn your right to be there. I think it was unjust how they devalued.
Yes, they devalued it
that level.
big
It's
time.
like, man, you sell this, fish the Toyotas, you qualify for what was the pro circuit, and you're a pro. You're a touring professional.
They like called down the list or like tried to fill. They were having trouble filling the field with the invitational, so
they really devalued their invitational guys last year. I mean, they cut the payout.
The ones that earned their spot.
Yeah, they cut the pay.
That sucks.
They called down the field. They allowed jackpotters.
Right.
I just think.
Well, when we originally qualified to the Toyotas last year, like Jack, you traveled with Jack this year on the Opens. Like we were told we were fishing the pro circuit.
Yeah, and then just kidding. Here comes a surprise, but
there'll be more. There'll be more of that.
I mean,
y'all
you
can do a bunch of podcasts.
There's all kinds of.
They're going to give you lots of.
Oh, it's a good time to have a podcast in the fishing industry.
Yeah, so I'm excited to see switching gears to the MPFL. I mean, we've just kind of briefly touched on that. That's one that this is their 3rd season. Is that right?
They've been
3rd or 4th.
They've been it a lot longer than anybody else.
I think last year was a questionable year for them because I remember when we had Brad Fuller on last year, he said we need to get to 75 to run. Otherwise, we're not doing it at all. And they got to 75.
Yeah, they had to make some. Last year, they had announced some changes. It didn't go over well. They had not a good response to that. And then, kind of last minute, after everyone had signed up for EQs, all that, they upped the payout to $100,000 for first place. Where they did some things, and all of a sudden, they got to 75. And they've had a pretty good season. It looks like. I mean,
yeah, I think
there's some good dudes over there fishing.
I think if any organization made strides, I think they did. I think they've got some more people. I feel like they're trending up.
I don't know if it's that steep, but it's going up compared to going down.
I mean, yeah, I think initial talks is that they may already have a full field and schedule's not even out. I mean, that's pretty impressive. They got enough applicants.
That's what I was talking about earlier. We've bottlenecked our industry now. You got a lot of guys with a dream and not a lot of places to go. So I hope they do big things, man. Like it does seem like a little more hands-on ownership. Like, I mean, I've talked with Brad myself.
Yeah.
He, it just seems a little bit more of that hands-on, angler-friendly, but it's still a business.
Sure.
So, I'm curious to see what the schedule's going to be, see what the payout's going to be. Rules.
Payout's going to be a big thing. I'd like to see the payout. I know the payout kind of suffered a little bit because they were so top heavy. They guaranteed that $100,000.
They couldn't pay many spots down this year.
Man, I mean, to fish against 74 dudes for $100,000. Woo.
There would have been some dudes that did the EQs this year. If they had done everything soon enough, they would have.
Oh yeah.
You'd have considered it, wouldn't you?
I would have, but yeah.
I mean, that's good. So
I'm considering it next year. We'll see.
We're excited to see what's going to happen there. If there's no conflict, I may do them all. I like to fish, man, so I'll fish a lot of tournaments. It don't bother me. Yeah. 2 years ago, I fished all the opens and all the elites, like 18 events.
Jesus.
That's actually less than what I used to fish, dude. Back in the day.
I thought you were going to do it again next year or last year or this year.
I know. I just wore down. The travel the year before was brutal. Like logistics. It feels like there's a lot more logistics planning goes into the elite schedule than there is the open schedule. That's probably not true because I know they don't do things on purpose. But like we talked a little bit about the northern, like you got to go up, then you come home, then you go up, then you go home. And I guess you could say the northern anglers, but there's more southeastern anglers now that have to do that. It affects more.
I did the math. It's 1,000 more miles of travel, which doesn't
compared to this year.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like a lot, but
I'd be curious what last year's was.
1,000 miles is a lot.
I went to the East Coast, went to South Dakota, then went back to Maryland. Then it was wild. So
yeah, I mean they're doing the best they can. They take that into consideration where the elites are and stuff like that. But
yeah,
man, I don't really have anything else. We just kind of wanted to visit with you now that you'd kind of settled down and see where. Let you jump in the conversation that Wyatt and I have had every day for the last 2 months.
That's fine.
What are we going to do next year?
I mean, like what y'all are doing on the podcast is what me and my buddies done, 10, 12 years ago, like over the phone. Like landline phones. I'm not talking cell phone. That's how old I am. No,
rotary phones.
It's always fun to get with y'all and chat, dude.
Yeah.
A lot of things are going to happen quick here for all of us.
Yeah, I mean, I think everything's.
What are you leaning toward? Did we ask you? We didn't really ask you. Do you want to say?
I don't know. I really don't.
What do you want to happen?
What do I want to happen?
Yeah.
I have considered the opens more for this coming season than I ever have.
Yeah. That's because of all the lucrative payouts and money opportunities there, right?
Yeah. No, it's not.
It's not where you go to make money.
No, you
you're after the carrots.
You live and you learn some things, and
I love it. He's talking like all the time. He's not even 30 yet.
Yeah,
he's still get carded for beer, dude. Come on.
I still think, one of my battles right now too is like, I think you can do well regionally as well. Like, if it's strictly financial purposes, I think if you believe in yourself enough at the regional level. Whether it's team or solo, especially if you have a team partner you really believe in as well.
We're kind of blessed over here. There's a lot of opportunities.
Yeah, and I'm not, like I said, I want to say regional because it's really this year, this next season, when I look at all the schedules, I wrote down every schedule you can imagine. You see, it's not like that, like Rayburn's like heavy this year, so I'm not even talking just strictly Sam Rayburn, but Rayburn, Toledo, Cedar Creek, Conroe, Pines.
Good Texas schedules.
Well, I mean, the Brandon Belt Show Team Series. I mean, that is an opportunity that I don't know if that exists anywhere else in the country.
We didn't have that when I was coming up, dude. So now it's like all time. I'd love to fish for that money when it was coming up.
You got to consider that, like, and like you kind of spoke on before the podcast, like it's not any easier. If you think it's easier to stay regionally and do well, it's not. It might even be harder because guess what you got to do regionally? You got to win. So to make real money. So
if you stay local, you're not trying to make top 50, get half the check.
No, you're not trying to cut a check. I mean, that's basically paying for your
correct.
And guys, if they're acting like that's easy, they're just not being honest. But there's more opportunities now. Even like where I live on Toledo Bend, there's like a lot of championships coming there this year. Now that means you may have to buck up and man up and actually leave Toledo Bend for a couple of events.
We don't like to do that.
Venture out. But if you're not willing to do that, then you need to be quiet. If you don't have the guts to venture out 3 hours from your house, 6 hours from your house, then
man, we do that here though in Texas. We complain so much.
We're spoiled because there's so much comes to our back door, but like we've never, or it's been a while since at Toledo Bend where we had just big money tournaments coming in like that. It's great to see.
Yeah,
and I think it's fair that you have to go off and fish some of the other ones.
You should have to go to other regions in the state or at least Oklahoma.
There's a lot of those guys come over here and fish against us. So That's what always drove me crazy back in my Toledo local days. Is it felt like a lot of us Toledo boys would come over here because there's so many tournaments. But then we'd have a big tournament, and like y'all would, I don't say y'all, but the Rayburn boys would stay and like jackpot against each other, or put on a tournament, or there'd be something going on here, and then it comes to Toledo. So then our numbers would be a little lower. So then the organization would start, they quit coming.
Yeah.
Well, so then they pounded Rayburn too much, and
we're in that cycle now. I mean, Rayburn's been overfished.
It's been overfished.
This past season was ridiculous. That's why I was saying next year it's going to get a little bit of relief. It's really not Rayburn crazy.
Yeah, and well, I've looked at some of those local schedules because I might jump in a couple of the little team derbies, dust the shoes off and jump back in. But there's some like Texas. Is it Texas Team Trail and Belt both doing their championships at Toledo Bend? Am I dreaming?
I don't know if Team Trail announced.
I don't know if Team Trail announced it, but Belt is.
Belt is.
And no, Bass Champs normally doesn't announce it either.
Yeah, they don't announce
it.
it.
But Bass Champs made a big change. They went down to 5.
They don't have all them divisions. They just
I saw that too. That was a different deal for them.
And I saw Skeeter payouts like way higher in that one. That's one that we kind of got our eyeball on.
I think regionally it's not just team tournaments too though. You can fish some Yodas and
there's a lot to
Toyota
fish
Series
and making the Toyota Series Championship. Like if it's go Table Rock, $200,000 guaranteed for first place. They're like that's a big deal.
Bass Nation that changed the Bass Nation. I'm going to that Bass
cool.
Nation tournament and you follow.
Be cool. So like you're kind of where I was a long time ago, except you dipped your toes in to the heavy stuff, and now you're like, man, regionally don't sound so bad.
It's an option, I think.
And especially you're doing well guiding.
And that's another thing. The guide
when you're on the road, like, so that was hard for me when I would be like, when I really got hardcore guiding, be gone for the opens for a week. I literally counted that as like, that was money I missed out on. So if I was gone for 8 days, I could have made X amount guiding. You're like, so sometimes you go get a check and still take I considered a loss on what I could have made if I'd stayed home. So, in the end, you just need to make sure that it sounds like you're already considering the financial part, but just
that would probably be the flip side of the opens too. Like because Shane fished them this year, I kind of got a sense of maybe financially what it would cost.
Right.
But for me to do it as well, I think I would have to calculate like you said, the cost of being gone from work too. So I think if I had all that covered, it would be a no-brainer at that point.
Right.
But, I was just like you said, I got to do what's best for me, and everybody's situation is different.
You got to pick the one you're excited about, dude, because if you decide, that's what's hard about, you got to decide all this in a couple of weeks, basically, right? But if you make the choice and then it gets February and you're like, man, I wish I'd have done that. It's too late. You can't go do it. So you got to muster through. But, I'll probably I'll be at home around a little more next year, so I may do a few more local derbs or actually guide a little more. I ain't got to guide the last few years.
Yeah.
Randy makes me.
I think there's so many options now. I was talking about this with Jack York the other day. Like it seemed like when
Yeti.
It seemed like when I was growing up, like it was pretty simple. Like
6 years.
Hey,
ago.
this is what's going on over here. This is what's going on over here. Both are pretty good options. They're fishing for Forest Wood Cups. Payout looks pretty dang good over there. And then Bassmaster was rocking pretty good too. It seemed like it was really simple. Now there's so much going on. It's
that's not such a bad thing though. Like there are a lot of options. Like the Brandon Belt thing, I hadn't got to fish any of them. Like, dude, just telling you, dudes my age wish we had that.
It's like super legit, and they got like a big tournament field too. It's not just the payouts are better than any other team circuit. It's like, hey, we're gonna do these live weigh-ins, and like you should see the media and camera crew. Like it's legit. Yeah.
I watched y'all weigh-in at Toledo Bend this summer.
You drive up in your truck and boat. Like they make these anglers feel like it's. Like they should, like they're special.
Yeah, they're trying to make it feel like it's big time.
You pull up in your truck and boat, hop up out of your boat with your fish, walk up weigh-in stage like nobody else. It is
big time though. You're paying like big entry fee, and they're paying out big.
And it draws out the best in the state.
It does. There's good opportunity if you're doing well at that. Then you can start thinking about the next.
You can market that, as well.
Next step forward. Yeah, it's good opportunities. So there's lots of good opportunities. Then we can all guide a little bit.
Yep.
I'm gonna play golf some.
Well, that's all I got.
Okay. Is that all you got?
I think so.
Yeah. I think that's good. I think we got a nice little hour session in there.
Do I get to take a
therapy?
hat or anything with me?
Whoa.
Hey, that's the only decorations we got.
I'm just going to say, y'all are going to struggle getting people to drive over here if you're not going to have a charcuterie board.
Oh, I'm sure we got a little
like
thank you package for you. Yeah, a little gift pack. Little signed hat Wyatt signed it for you.
Like y'all gonna jump me on the way out of here. Now, appreciate y'all having me on. I'm glad I got to talk
Yeah,
about
man.
all my crushing blows this year. Hope everybody.
Well, I mean, sometimes these are the part. This is the part that a lot of people don't want to talk about. So we appreciate you coming on here and doing that.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't want to talk about it, but
I know you didn't.
this is it though. I'm not talking about it anymore. So,
Never again.
never again. Until the next time.
Well, we'll post this one up tomorrow, and I'm sure we'll do another one when the other bombshell comes out with BPT or whatever.
Let's get
happened
back
with that.
together like a month or so from now. Let's do get a graduation class back together.
Yeah. We'll do
Where are we at now? What are we fishing? We'll actually.
What
know
did we
some-
decide?
What did we decide?
Where are we going? I'm down with it.
All right.
I'm in.
Good.
Till next time, guys.